Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's YunKs. Today, I'll be showing you guys the super good advice. This is an exotic machine gun that does solar damage. Anyway, guys, real quickly, I am going to go over the perks on this thing and what perks I like to run. So for the sights here, I just go with Smooth Ballistics, the main sight. Now, if you guys want to increase your stability, you can do so by going to Soft Ballistics at the cost of some range and impact. And you could also do CQB Ballistics at the cost of just range. Alright, guys. Now, Crowd Control. Kills with this weapon grant bonus damage for a short time. Not a bad perk at all, guys. Now, for the middle, we have Single Point Sling. Switch weapons faster, move quicker while aiming, hand loaded. This weapon is effective at an extended range. And Flared Mag Oil, quicker reload. Alright, so I personally like to go with hand loaded here for the middle for that little extra range. Now moving on to the last and main perk, super good advice. Missed shots may be returned to the mag. Landed shots may be replaced in the mag from your reserves. Alright, I will be talking a little more about this later in the gameplay, guys. Now before we get into it, I do want to mention this is a higher rate of fire, lower impact machine gun. Alright, now let's take a look at the aesthetics. Alright, looks pretty badass, guys. It's like red and white and black, kind of like New Monarchy colors almost. Anyway, guys, let's get right into the gameplay. So the very first thing I did with the super good advice was actually test out the super good advice perk. I wanted to see how long it would take to shoot an entire mag, 58 shots before I had to reload on missed shots. Now on this run here, it took me 14 seconds. I tested this on 4 different mags and I got an average of 14.125 seconds. Now it was pretty consistent, guys, and I did the calculations and I concluded that without the shots refunded to the mag, it would take about 6 seconds to shoot the entire mag. So with missed shots, we are more than doubling our shooting duration on the super good advice, at least for the most part. Now the very next thing I did with the super good advice was bring it to the Ultra Knight here in the Dreadnought to see how fast I could possibly put him down. Now it took me 6.5 seconds using 67 shots. Now I did not have to reload whatsoever. All my shots were refunded back to me from my reserves and I was dealing 501 damage to the head. Alright, not too bad, guys. So the super good advice is definitely a potential DPS machine because for the fact you will rarely find yourself reloading with this weapon. Alright, moving right along to PvP now, guys. The super good advice will deal 37 damage to the head and 29 damage to the body, but of course this does depend on what range you're at. If you're too far away, you will definitely not get these numbers, guys. This is a higher rate of fire, lower impact machine gun, and this is not meant for long range combat, so the damage drop off is at a medium-ish range. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about crowd control on this weapon. How much damage are you gonna deal with crowd control active? Now before we get into it, let me mention crowd control will only activate for 3 seconds after you get a kill. Yes, only 3 seconds, not a very long time, but if you do have it active and you are in that close enough range, you will deal 42 damage to the head and 34 damage to the body with the super good advice. Alright, let's talk a little bit about how I felt while using the super good advice in the Crucible, and I had a pretty damn good time with it, and honestly I thought I was not going to have a good time with this thing when I first started using it to get my footage, but I actually found myself useful when it came to heavy, and I was tearing through my enemies as long as I was at that close enough range. If I were to go against the Quillam's Terminus at a medium to long range encounter, yeah, I'm going to lose that battle 9 times out of 10, but I still had a good time with the super good advice, and as long as you stay in those tight corridors, you should be alright using this thing. Now, the real question here is the super good advice worth the exotic slot? Well, when it comes to PvP, I personally think there are many other options you could choose over the super good advice, and if you want to go with heavy, me personally, I would pick a Truth or a Thunderlord over the super good advice for PvP, but I do think when it comes to PvE, this is certainly more efficient, especially when it comes to strikes and strike bosses. I feel like that would be the best use for this weapon. Anyway, guys, leave in the comments and let me know, what do you think about the super good advice? Is it worth the exotic slot for you? Would you use this in strikes? Let me know, guys. Overall, I did have a lot of fun with the super good advice, and even though it is not the most used or popular exotic weapon in the game, I still managed to have a great time with it and to do some damage in the Crucible with it. Anyway, guys, that's really it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the video and sub for the support. I'd highly appreciate it.